Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to another episode of Comment Foolery Exposed. I am here on one of my favorite websites, Krusty Lip Alley, and here they are talking about Aoki Lee Simmons and her dating that older white rich guy. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of these comments. For those of you who don't know, Lipstick Alley is a website that is primarily for unambiguous black women to discuss YouTube channels. I've got a huge thread on there, so we are famous exotical tags. So be sure to check out my Lipstick Alley thread. I also made a video about it, and I was responding to the foolery. But this person says, y'all thinking this is about money is insane. She is not the preference in her world looks-wise. So she says she is not the preference in her world. So I guess my question is, the preference where? Because in the black community, they love to call us preferences as if like unambiguous black men prefer us. But then suddenly when we're with a white guy, then we're still not the preference. So like, which one is it? Are we at the bottom of society, like how you guys say that you are? Or are you just gaslighting right here? She says she's also erratic, annoying, and has a higher than usual intelligence. She seems too erratic and anxious to be fun. She did not get male attention from her peers and probably constantly compared to her sister, who comes off as more cool. So another question, how do you know what kind of male attention she got from her peers? Isn't the entire divestment movement based on finding some rich white guy to come and save you from your financial woes? So it's funny how if Aoki would have dated a black man, it would have been, she got the same black man, but then suddenly if she's dating a white man, it's also a problem as well. So who are mixed women allowed to date? Tell me, who should we date? Godly Queen MVP, who do you think that we should date? Because clearly we can do nothing right in your eyes. She says, Aoki is an attractive girl, but she grew up the intelligent one, and her sister is the gorgeous one. So this is another common tactic that unambiguous women use against us mixed women. They will compare you to someone who looks less black than you, as Aoki's sister looks less black than her. She looks more Asian. And so notice how she says that Aoki is just the intelligent one and her sister is the gorgeous one. So isn't it funny how a lot of unambiguous people like to use your blackness as a humbling tactic? They will say things like, well, you're not as light-skinned as your sister. You're not as mixed looking as so-and-so other person. And notice how whenever they make comments like you're not that light-skinned or you're not that mixed, usually they are making whiteness the standard. I've talked about this a lot, how a lot of unambiguous people, they center their identities around whiteness, and so they think that mixed people do the same thing. And so one of the main humbling tactics they'll use towards mixed people is they'll say, well, you wouldn't be preferred by the white man, or white people won't accept you, or you would have been a slave to the white man, or white racist police officers are still going to kill you. And they think that we center our identities and our self-esteem around what white people think of us. And that's because that's what they do. So notice how even this person on this comment is trying to do that by comparing her to her sister who looks less black than her, and she's saying that her sister is the gorgeous one. The only difference between her and her sister is that her sister looks less black. Her sister looks less phenotypically African. So she's exposing her own internalized anti-blackness. She goes on to say, they grew up in an ultra superficial environment. She also wants to model in a Bella Hadid modeling world, and that's causing her to spiral. So once again, notice how she brings up a non-black woman to humble her, saying that this is Bella Hadid's modeling world. So I guess we're forgetting about people like Naomi Campbell and Tyra Banks and all these other women who are models, Chanel Iman, Jordan Dunn. We're forgetting about all of those people. Everything revolves around Bella Hadid in this girl's eyes because once again, this is proof a lot of them center their identity and they center their self-esteem around whiteness and how they compare to whiteness. They make whiteness their beauty standard. Whiteness is the standard for light skin. Whiteness is the standard for mixed people or any sort of non-blackness. And so they love using that internalized anti-blackness to try to humble us. She goes on to say, if she was the preference, she would be dating the sons and grandsons of the man she's with, not him. Okay, so first, people are telling us on social media that you should date older men. A lot of unambiguous black women, they support Shira 7, who talks about dating older men who are rich or being a sugar baby or whatever. So a lot of unambiguous women, they support talking points like that. But then suddenly when you have a Blasian woman who's actually doing that, then it means that she's not the preference and, she did it wrong, basically. So have you ever noticed how a lot of unambiguous women, they're obsessed with our dating lives. They're obsessed with who we date. No matter who we date, it's wrong. If you date a black man, you got the same black man, and then if you date a white man, suddenly it's like, oh, you're not the preference, whatever that means. So apparently it means she's not the preference to black men, so she has to go to white men. Meanwhile, they have an entire divestment movement where they're literally selling courses for $300 talking about how to attract a white man. Yet you've got Aoki right here with a lot of these women's dream guy, and suddenly she's still doing it wrong. She says she wants to be wanted for her looks. This is sad, and I hope she doesn't go all the way downhill for attention. She's not all the way there in the head. So this woman says the preferred look in her world is white with blonde hair and blue eyes. If they are not Caucasian, they want very attractive mixed girls like her sister and Sophia Richie. So once again, which one is it? Do white men want white passing mixed women or women who are more white adjacent? Or are the divestors right? And do they only want unambiguous monoracial dark-skinned black women with their natural 4C hair? Do you see how these women contradict themselves consistently? Do you see how they gaslight you and constantly move the goalpost and change their talking points depending on their self-esteem level? And notice how once again this person compares Aoki to women who are more white looking than her, or they just look less black than her. Once again, she is trying to use her blackness as a way to humble her. She says, y'all think that because black people love mixed, light-skinned, curly hair women that it's everyone's preference. The preference to Caucasians is Caucasian with blonde hair and blue eyes. I can tell that this woman doesn't know any white people in real life, just by this comment right here. But once again, which one is it? Because we've got thousands of unambiguous black divestors saying that white men prefer unambiguous, dark-skinned, monoracial black women with their natural 4C hair. Now we've got another woman on here saying that no, they prefer Caucasians with blonde hair and blue eyes. So do you see how a lot of people, they love to try to convince mixed race women that it's impossible for a white man to find us attractive, that it's impossible for a non-black man who's rich to find us attractive? So whether they use whiteness against us or they use blackness against us, it seems like there's a common theme of wanting to convince mixed race women that we are somehow not desirable. They want to try to convince light-skinned women that somehow we're not desirable. I love Lipstick Alley because they expose themselves so much in here. This girl says, white boys don't date outside their race in school often. If they do date out, they do it as adults. A girl that's black or mixed with black and Asian is not getting a bunch of male attention in a mostly white environment if she's not very attractive. White boys don't react to mixed women the same way black boys do. So I would love for this girl to pull up a picture of who she considers to be a black and Asian woman that's not very attractive, because usually what black people call an unattractive mixed woman is a mixed woman with black features, or a mixed woman who simply does not look white. So notice how they can go up and down and say so-and-so isn't attractive, as they usually do, but then they can never tell you what parts of their face are unattractive. What about Aoki is unattractive? Eyes, nose, lips, skin tone, hair texture? Tell me what features of hers make her less pretty than Sophia Richie and these other women that you mentioned. Have you guys ever noticed unambiguous women's obsession with our sex lives and dating lives? So the question is, how do you know what a mixed woman's dating life is like? You are not a mixed black woman. How do you know what a light-skinned woman's dating life is like? You're not a light-skinned woman. So all you would know is, I guess, what you've observed. And that's not quite enough information to make entire stereotypes about it. There's a reason why there's a whole entire colorism, texturism, and featureism movement, and it's because people say that we are overexposed as the beauty standard, and that we are, very hyped up. Look at how fast Tyla blew up. Look at how fast Ice Spice blew up. Look at how fast all of these women who look similar to Aoki blew up in the media. So there's no way that you can try to convince us that somehow, we're not that attractive, or, somehow white guys who actually are in charge of Hollywood, by the way, they sign the checks of Ice Spice and all these other rappers and artists and actresses. These are the ones who own the record labels themselves. They're the ones who created these companies. They're the ones who are creating Hollywood or giving the brand deals. They're the owners of the production companies that create the movies. These are white guys. So How are you going to convince us that we are the preference, but then we're also not the preference at the same time? This person says, no, they don't. They date Asian women, half white hoppas, or even thin, natural, dark-skinned black women. They don't generally go for the mixed race Blasians. Black men do that. I grew up around all whites and work around all whites now. Their female ideal, though, is a skinny, blue-eyed blonde girl, usually hit in the face. I have never seen a white man with a girl who looked like Aoki. Not saying it's impossible, but they have their very clear preferences, and she's not it. This comment is oozing with jealousy. Just because you've never seen a Blasian woman with a white man doesn't mean that it's impossible. I can tell that a lot of these women, just based on their comments alone, I can tell that they don't have a lot of white friends, or they haven't really been around a lot of white people, because the way they're doing these extreme generalizations, like, oh, if he's a white man, he's going to prefer an unambiguous monoracial dark-skinned black woman with 4C hair. That's false. And also, if these women are not threatened by us, or like if they don't care, then why are they going out of their way to make these huge threads about us, or these threads about like our dating lives? Have you ever noticed this? How like on a lot of the black celebrity tea channels, it's not actually a black celebrity tea channel, it's more of an MLS celebrity tea channel where they love talking about Beyonce, Cardi B, Tyla, Rihanna. It's always the same mixed race women, the same light-skinned women that they're talking about in all of these videos. So it's like, if we're so irrelevant, if we are so basic and like not the preference, and women who look more white are somehow more attractive, then why are all of these YouTube channels and stuff focusing on mixed race women? Shouldn't you guys be focusing on white women then? Like, why is the focus on attempting to tear down or like pick apart the beauty of someone who is mixed race? And then they go on to compare Aoki to other mixed women like Malia Obama and Zoe Kravitz. They said Malia and Aoki look nothing like white passing Zoe Kravitz, like they were kind of comparing their looks on the previous page. And then someone says, I don't think she's white passing, but okay, she still looks a lot like Malia Obama, who seems to date men her age with ease. So they're making it seem like if you are a mixed woman who can't get a guy your own age, or if you choose to date older, it must mean that you are less desirable. But once again, do you see how they love to compare us to one another? They will compare you to another mixed person who's more white passing or more Asian passing, basically someone who's less black looking than you. They're comparing dating lives, mixed women versus mixed women. So it's Malia versus Aoki versus Zoe Kravitz in terms of looks, or in terms of like who they're dating. And notice how if I were to ever compare an unambiguous dark-skinned black woman to an ambiguous light-skinned black woman who was monoracial and said, oh, sorry, you don't look like so-and-so light-skinned woman and she's able to date guys her age. If I were to ever do that here on this YouTube channel, my channel would be gone. And now we've got a disgustingly racist comment. This girl says, when are we going to let go of this narrative that most white men are checking for Asian women? The only white men I see with Asian or half Asian women are socially awkward, ugly, unattractive ones who cannot pull other women. Asian women are basically like the leftovers. When you cannot get an attractive woman, you settle for an Asian. That is a disgustingly racist comment. So now they're going against Aoki's Asian side by saying that the Asian women are somehow leftovers that white men are trying to get, because in their minds, white women are like, they center their identity around white women. They center their beauty standard around white women. So in their eyes, everything is beneath that. So now they're coming for Aoki's Asian side by completely attacking the entire Asian women's community. She said, if you're good looking, you'll pull whoever you can. Simple as that. But some women feel entitled to white men, which is plain silly. I like white men. However, I don't feel entitled to them if they don't like the way I look. I move on and find one who will appreciate me. Asian, Indian, some black, and mixed women feel a sense of entitlement to white men. That is a disgustingly racist comment. If I ever made a comment like this about unambiguous women, I'd be called all kinds of racist. This person says, comparing Malia Obama to Aoki and thinking they could be in the same circles is like comparing a homeless woman to Audrey mother effing Hepburn. So she's saying that Aoki is so far beneath Malia Obama socially. So once again, they're comparing one mixed woman to another mixed woman. They're also doing that black mom, black dad thing. So she's putting Aoki below the Obama family because they have a black mom, or that's what they're saying on this Lipstick Alley thread. They're saying that because Michelle Obama is Malia and Sasha's mom, then like they're going to be better off because they had a smart black woman to raise them. And Aoki is the daughter of Russell Simmons, and because they don't like Russell Simmons, they're saying that Aoki is like comparing a homeless person to Audrey Hepburn. So once again, they're trying to compare one mixed woman to another mixed woman in hopes that it will somehow humble Aoki. Someone said, like, the creators of Baby Fat and the president of the free world are not to be compared. So once again, they're trying to shit on her socially, or they're trying to say that as far as social climbing goes, because she is not the president's daughter, that she doesn't compare to Sasha and Malia. But I guess my question is, who are these people on Lipstick Alley who are commenting, and who are they to try to tell Aoki what she can and can't do? Once again, somebody says she is beautiful, but not the preference of white dudes. Black guys, yes, but not white guys. The reason she's saying this is because she puts white men on a pedestal, so she believes that if you're preferred by white guys, you must be prettier than if you're preferred by black guys. I've noticed this common theme amongst divestors, like if you can attract a white man, it means that your pretty privilege is somehow stronger because they feel like it's more powerful to have a white man as your husband and stuff like that. So I've definitely noticed that they have a huge pedestal that they give to white guys, and they have this mindset that if a white guy chooses you, you must be pretty, but if you're the preference of a black guy, then you must be at the bottom. And that's because they view their own race. They view blackness as at the bottom, and they view whiteness as at the top. So what about if you have a white guy as a father? What about if you have a white guy as a grandfather? What about if you have a white woman as a mother? So notice how they skip over all of those things, and the way that they do their beauty standard is how many white guys like me. So they love trying to humble mixed women, like, oh, she must not be that pretty because she couldn't get a young, hot white guy her age, or, unambiguous women are preferred by white men, and so that makes us prettier. And it's like, why are you equating your beauty to how many white men like you? But anyway, she said, when white men go for non-white women, the women are usually half white, half black, black women, dark or light, white-skinned Asian women, and other light-skinned women of color. Half black and half Asian, especially dark ones, not really. So you're basically saying that white men like everybody else except for Blasian women. That's an extremely ignorant comment, but okay. She said, to be honest, she could get a white man her age. I just feel it's her personality and low self-esteem that is a turnoff for those men. I get it. White women have it much easier, but complaining about it all the time, comparing yourself to unseasoned women, and the daddy-mommy issues is not helping at all. Someone said they are both Harvard alums. They are literally in the same circles. They may not be best friends, but they definitely have overlapping friend groups. Someone said, she might have access to those circles somehow, but in what ranking? Being in the same room is only the start. You all want her to be chased by scions, heirs, and wealthy young businessmen because she has a Harvard degree and infamous parents. It doesn't work like that. So this person is ranking Aoki based on who her parents are and based on how she compares to white rich people. So this tells me that in the minds of a lot of unambiguous black people who are on this Lipstick Alley page, that for them, the pinnacle of social climbing is being in white circles with white men who are rich, and the pinnacle of pretty privilege is being with a rich white man who is your age, who's also attractive. So you didn't hear it from me, folks. They're exposing themselves right here out in the open on the internet. And if you don't believe me, you can also go to the Divested community here on YouTube. I can tell by all of these women's comments that they are extremely male-centered, and they seem to think that the pinnacle of life is social climbing so you can be chosen by white men, or being seen by white men, or being picked for marriage by a white man. But what do you ladies think? Am I being delusional? Are we all lying? Are we just going to pretend like this white pedestal doesn't exist within the unambiguous black female community? What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.